Hello viewers, this is a video about the new CORSA exhaust system I have on my 2017 Raptor. I got it about 4 days ago maybe, last Thursday. It's Monday right now. So I took it into CORSA. They had it for about a week, I think. Yeah, exactly 1 week is how long they had the truck for, out of a small, one of the suburbs of not Toledo, but Cleveland, Ohio. And they put a prototype system on it, which is what's on there right now. It's got a resonator delete and a CORSA muffler, and then it has a stock tailpipes and stock exhaust tips on it because they weren't ready. They were still testing the tailpipes and exhaust tips for with heat rejection, I guess, with regards to the spare tire, since they go on either side of the spare tire. So once they get that done, then I'll go back in and get a full system upfitted. The production version. This is the prototype, like I said. So it doesn't, the fit and finish of it is not that nice looking, but it's just, the internals are the same, I guess, as the final product. So it will sound exactly like this is what I was told. So right now I'm just kind of cruising around. I can hear the exhaust. I don't know if it'll pick up on the video or not, but I'll get out to a section here and do some full throttles for you. But so far, my impressions of the exhaust are that it's a very great sounding exhaust. It does give the truck that deep V8 like sound. It doesn't sound exactly like a V8, but it's a lot closer to a V8 than it sounded like from the factory. It doesn't have that kind of 4-cylinder, you know, fart can kind of sound, I guess is what you would call it. It is quite loud, to be honest, though. It is very loud, especially when you cold start it, like in the morning when I cold started it today. It was very, very loud. It just booms out the back because the engine does spark retard and idle up, so it gets very, very loud for about 10 or 15 seconds, and then it'll idle back down, and then it sounds fine. It sounds like it would sound if I was just driving around and put it in park and let it idle. Maybe a little bit louder, but not by much. But yeah, it's a very loud exhaust system, especially when you get on it. When I go to full throttle, it'll, you know, I see people around me jumping. Today's the first time I've actually driven it, you know, without there being rain or anything, so I can actually hear the exhaust separate from all the other road noises. And while I was on my way out to lunch today, I tried to merge onto the interstate and I floored it, and one of the guys riding with me said the person next to me jumped. You know, they were caught off guard by how loud it was. But it does sound good. It's a very good sounding loud. It's not just obnoxious loud that's, you know, with a bad sound. It actually sounds really good. The other thing that I can say about it is, so CORSA does guarantee no drone. This one it doesn't drone, but it's, when you're cruising down the interstate at 70 or 80, you can hear it. It's noticeable. It's not like it was when it was stock where you couldn't really hear anything. I can actually hear the exhaust system, which I'm not a huge fan of, but if you like hearing your exhaust as you're just cruising around, it's not loud, it's just, it's got kind of a mellow, you know, undertone to it. Here, let me full throttle for a second. That was all the way through the RPM band. Here's a Corvette going by. So it does sound very good. I do have all the windows closed except for the rear sliding window. I have it cracked open about an inch, so I can hear a little bit through the back. I did that on purpose so you could kind of get a feel for what it sounds like with the windows open. It's kind of cold out, so I don't want to roll down all my windows. But yeah, so it is a loud exhaust system. This is the Xtreme version. So there's also the Sport version, which is exactly the same, except your factory resonator stays in the vehicle. It doesn't get pulled out like this one. Right now I have a straight pipe in place of the resonator. So I might end up going with that one at a later time. I did give feedback to the CORSA engineers this morning, and they replied and said, yeah, unfortunately the shorter wheelbase model trucks will be louder than the longer wheelbase just because there's less piping between the engine and the mufflers. He said the only way to get it quieter would be to put your resonator back in and go for the sport system, but he said it will noticeably change the tone and it will give them a more refined feel and sound. He said especially at idle and at cruising, it won't be intrusive, is what he said. That was the word he used. So I'm not sure if I'll end up doing that or not. The more I drive it in town, the more I like it. But the first day I had it, I was driving back from Toledo, Ohio, and I drove about an hour and a half back to where I live, and it was raining, and I had the radio on not too loud, but I did have it turned up louder than normal to hear over the exhaust and over the rain. And I didn't have a headache, but I felt more fatigued than I normally would. I didn't know if it was because of the sound of the exhaust or just the long drive, because I drove an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. It's not terribly long, but with an exhaust system that's pretty audible, I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and pull over here in a second and put the camera on the outside of the truck so that you can hear what it sounds like. I'll put it on the tailgate, similar to the last video I did where it was the before video. This is the after video. Not bad, eh? That's a warm idle. Alright, so I'm not sure what that sounded like on the camera, but it sounded pretty dang good from in here. So on my way down that road, the first time I had it in normal mode, and then on the way back I put it in Baja mode because it does the anti-lag where it keeps the turbo spooled up and closes off, and starts adding fueling very late in the exhaust cycle, so it kind of has some flames going on in the exhaust manifold, so it'll backfire anyways. What I was getting at, it'll start backfiring or crackling, so I hope it picked some of that up. I can hear it from in here popping every time I roll back on the throttle. So yeah, so now you've heard it from the inside of the vehicle and you've heard it from the outside. If you have any questions, just hit me up in the video or in the comment section. One other thing I wanted to add, let's talk about performance now. So everyone is all about everyone's asking me how much performance this thing is giving you, how many horsepower, how much power do I feel it's added on, and the answer is not really any. I can't really tell a difference. I spoke with the CORSA engineers, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, and what they said was the Ford performance, the factory exhaust system was very free-flowing and unrestricted. So they were not expecting to get much power out of this exhaust system, if any at all. They said they had 2 other Raptors in the shop over the last couple months, and one of them had given them permission to run the truck on a dyno. They didn't even ask me because they already had permission from the other guy. But I'm not sure what they'll find out from it. I'm sure it won't be much power, if any, just because of how free-flowing the stock one was. So yeah, but dyno, I don't really feel a difference. I'm not one of the guys that's gonna, lie to you and say, oh yeah, it feels so much faster, when it really doesn't. If you're getting this exhaust system, don't get it for any power gains, get it for the sound. And that's the same with any exhaust system on the Raptor. I highly doubt that anyone is able to squeeze any power out of the exhaust system on this truck over the factory level with only exhaust. So if you hear that from any other manufacturers, take it with a grain of salt, be wary of it. Ask to show dyno sheets or something for proof. Anyway, so that's all I have for you. Yeah, if you have any questions or would like to see anything else out of the vehicle or any of my vehicles, just write in the comments. Thank you guys. Bye.